Night Swarm is the newest bullet hell roguelike to have come out on Steam, and it has shades of a lot of your favorite survivors likes out there, Megabonk, Vampire Survivors, and other games that you may enjoy. And a fair warning before we get to the meat and bones of the video, this game was made with, or at least voice acted with, the use of AI. So I understand if right from the get-go this isn't your jam and that's not what you wish to support, that is more than okay. I figure I'd let you all know before I delve deeper into the video. So let me start with the premise of the game, because the whole thing is that you're a vampire. You know, you're a noble who's rising up to become a vampire lord and fight your ways through like hordes and hordes of enemies and do missions to help build up power and glory to your castle. That's really it. It's not too gripping of a tale, but enough to get you interested in the game, honestly. Doesn't need much. Now let me talk about the main hub, which so happens to be your castle. You get presented with multiple options to permanently upgrade your character or game for future runs. So there's a great sense of progression in this game because you might power through your first runs but not get too far. But then as you level up and get more and more crystals or whatever it may be to upgrade, it can make you stronger and stronger and make those early runs where you died early not feel wasteful because you did get something out of it. For example, an upgrade you can get within that is equipping runes for the current run, and you can upgrade it if you have the accepted currency. And you can also talk to someone who has a big old skill tree. And within that skill tree, you can unlock stuff with the crystals, and it could be more power, more companion recharge time, maybe even better pickups. Who knows? You just have the whole tree to look up. In another room, you can craft armor and weapons that drop. These weapons and armor, they don't really do anything visually other than cosmetic to your character, and that's about it. They don't have any new attacks, no nothing. It's just flat out status buffs, which isn't bad. It's still something. And you do get to see them on your character, so maybe that's cool, but no super cool power up here. Like, it's just flat like percentage buffs, so maybe you'll have more attack speed or maybe more pickup range, whatever it may be. There's a lot of variety here in terms of upgrades, and I mentioned earlier about companions. There's a whole slew of them that you can upgrade and like do stuff with, and they all follow you around and provide unique buffs, and it just all depends on what they might do, because they could increase your damage, they could shorten the amount of time it takes to do certain attacks, you know, with the cooldowns, or even provide elemental effects. It all depends on who you pick up, but overall, this whole little hub area is a really nice little area to navigate. You'll know where stuff is at. Now let me move on to the gameplay, because it's going to be the main portion that I think everyone's going to be interested in. And really, this game plays like every other Survivors like out there. It's played from a top-down perspective, and it has this cool little aesthetic of being like on a board game, which I find very cool, and your character moves with like little hobbles. I think that's very cool. But yeah, when you first start a run, you're given a whole slew of areas to select, and depending on where you play, on what difficulty, that'll dictate what drops you get and so on and so forth. And then once you load up into that area, there's like a little map which has a sort of slay the spire sort of path system where the areas you want to explore depend on this. So to describe it, it'd be like a level within a level, like a sub level. The sub levels within the level you're currently in. Sorry, that's confusing, but point is, you follow the path where you want to follow, much like with Slay. Some paths might be harder than others because maybe there's more elites on a certain path. So it all just depends on how comfortable you are with the game and what level of difficulty you're in. Obviously, you should opt into the harder paths if you're on a lower difficulty, if you can't handle that higher, you know, sort of degree of difficulty. And when you're actually in a level, there are many different objectives for each one. Sometimes you just have to go and explore and do shit, and there's really nothing to it. But there's other ones where you have to duel a mini boss, maybe. Maybe you have to fight mini bosses within the level. Maybe you'll have to help a character out, or you're just gathering resources in general for your castle, mining crystals or getting some spider silk. It all again depends on what path you take, but I like how it promotes exploration within these levels and just trying to uncover everything before the timer runs out. Because as soon as it's done, you'll get a little bat form for 6 seconds, and you could go pick up as much as you can within those 6 seconds before you go to the next stage. I think it's very useless and dumb. Just a personal like little nitpick of mine. I really don't see a point of it. But when playing these levels, I try my best to explore every nook and cranny just to ensure I don't miss anything, and I can collect as much gold as I can, because with gold, this is a big thing within this game. You can purchase totems, you can get a random wheel of items or weapons of varying like rarities or upgrades. And yes, there are rarity types. You can min-max as much as you want, or you could just not care at all. It's like Megabonk in that like sense where maybe you want to forego a level up because it only has common rarity weapons and you want to wait till you get the rarest ones to upgrade your weapons with because there is a weapon level cap. Or maybe you just want to take the simple weapon upgrade just because you don't care. Because I mean, when you're in the start, it's not going to matter too much. There's a lot of things, but I find it very forgiving in that aspect because even if you do, let's say, go for common weapon upgrades, there's still a thing in this game called weapon fusion. So if you get two weapons that can be fused, then with that in itself, it'll combine all the upgrades and it gives a lot more leeway in that aspect because I could just go for the quick upgrades and then fuse them together and then focus on good upgrades, or I could just focus on only good ones. It really just all depends on you and how you play these type of games. It's a great system because once you reach the end and you get to the boss, you'll feel very powerful, which I feel like is what you want primarily out of survivors likes. I want to be OP when I play these games, but I also want to be challenged at the same time, so it's a question of how will you balance that. And Night Swarm does this pretty well by making you feel pretty OP by the later ends of the stages. And after you beat the final boss, there's actually an endless mode where you can collect even more materials and do even more stuff. And in there, again, much like with Megabonk, there's a timer system, and the higher the timer, the even more crazy the enemies are going to get. They deal more damage, they go faster, and so on and so forth. I think that's fantastic execution and rewards the players for being OP and being able to beat the boss, and then also not punishing them for it. It's like, here's a reward on top of your reward. So I think that's super cool, and it provides a great like challenge spike for those really OP runs. Last thing I want to touch on is the OST for this game, and this is just like a nitpick of mine, but it leaves a lot to be desired, much with like the voice acting in this game. I feel like with the OST, I would be more pumped if the soundtrack followed me in these like high intense moments. Like if I'm playing a game where I'm demolishing hordes and hordes of enemies, I want a soundtrack that follows that same energy and that same vibe. There are at times moments where this game does kind of stick the landing, but sometimes I'm hearing more like vampire akin themes than I am like a bullet hell sort of theme, if that makes sense. Like I'm trying to be pumped. Like if I'm super OP demolishing enemies like crazy, I don't want to hear some like vampire ballad where it's not intense and it's just kind of like, well, you know, it fits the theme, but it's not what I'm looking for. So that's a nitpick of mine. That and the voice acting, I will say. Overall though, this is a very solid game with a lot of replayability, and I enjoyed my time with it. I've been playing it since the demo days, and I've been playing it even more recently. Are there better games? I would say most definitely, but this is a new flavor of the month, and for the price tag, I think it's well worth the money in my opinion, considering how many hours I've already put into it. Like I said, I completely understand if you are not a fan of the AI aspects of it, and I respect that entirely. But if you don't mind and are willing to look past that, I think there's a pretty good game here beneath some of the ugly stuff about it, and I'm sure fans of the genre will love it. But yeah, that'll be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.